One of the most shocking and ruthless events that took place across Europe throughout the centuries was the French Revolution. Every single day following the outbreak of revolution and the overthrow of the monarchy, there were people being brought to the guillotine inside of French towns and cities, and they were forced to make the short walk up the steps of the execution scaffold to await their moment with the slanted blade. The guillotine blade fell on the neck of even the French king and queen, but one of the strangest things to see at the foot of the guillotine was usually a group of women who were just sat there knitting. These women were known as the tricoteuses. But what did they do? Welcome to the fortress. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. In October 1789, at the beginning of the French Revolution, people were incredibly desperate. One of the most prominent events that took place was the March on Versailles, when thousands of angry women from the markets marched to Versailles. They wanted bread and food, and did demand this, and they ended up forcing King Louis XVI, his Queen Marie Antoinette, and the royal family to move back to a palace in Paris. This was a pivotal event in the revolution, and the women involved in the March on Versailles became known as heroines and heroes. They formed groups and many became very famous. But the revolutionary government which was established did get concerned about the influence of these women and those who marched. They believed that the crowd was rather unpredictable and dangerous, and that they could turn against the revolution. For this it was said on the 26th of May 1793 that the women were forbidden to form any part of political assembly, and when they appealed to the Convention, to the Commune of Paris, they were told that the Republic had no need for many Joan of Arcs. The women were underestimated and kept quiet throughout the Reign of Terror, but many were not happy with the situation in France. The government refused to allow the women to take their seats in the galleries, and many of the market women would then gather together, and they would sit together close by the guillotine in Paris. The most prominent guillotine structure was found at the Place de la Révolution, and it was here where both the king and queen lost their heads. The guillotine blade fell upon the heads of hundreds here, if not thousands, but at the Place de la Révolution, the women began to gather together, and they would entertain themselves by sitting in the sun and watching the executions as if it was a sporting event. They gathered chairs around the guillotine, and some women, who could afford the best seats, paid to get a good view. But some of these women may have been paid to see the execution, to gather large crowds in an attempt to spread revolutionary sentiment. But when the executions were carried out, many of the women, the tricoteuses, would shout and jeer at those who were going to their deaths. They were usually the first to scream their anger, but when there was a break in the executions, the women would speak out to each other, and they would share a laugh and a joke, but they would also strangely knit. It would have been a bizarre sight seeing women sat at the foot of the execution device, just knitting. The women became known as les tricoteuses de la guillotine, the knitting women of the guillotine, for their actions. The word was later made famous in the Charles Dickens novel Tale of Two Cities, and in this he documented the women, but he claimed that the women would count the heads of the guillotine victims without stopping, and that they knitted those names of the victims into their work. In another novel written in 1908, it was claimed that the women sat there and knitted, whilst head after head fell beneath the knife, and they even got quite besplattered with blood. This is not the most reliable, and it's not likely that the women got covered in the blood of the victims. It is known that the women were always knitting at the executions, and some created what was known as a liberty cap, hats which were seen as a symbol of the revolution. It's believed that the women took to knitting to deal with the stress and to maybe try and relax, and that this was done en masse. Some women would have knitted to even try to raise money for their families by selling their work. During the Reign of Terror, it was incredibly dangerous for these women to be seen, but by sitting watching the executions and knitting, it was in a sense a powerful statement, and some of these women were regarded as mothers of the nation. Many of these women were also known as the Daughters of Liberty, but through their knitting, their ideas did spread. The suffragettes, when they were locked up inside of prisons in Britain, even took to knitting themselves. But during the executions of the Reign of Terror, Seeing these women knitting would have been a bizarre sight, especially in the chaos, but one which carried a prominent message. These were strong women, and they were those who witnessed the deaths of many powerful French politicians, civilians, and members of the royal family, and they also were the ones who signalled change. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.